Hello, everybody. Welcome to the session Financing for Social Enterprises Practical Tips from the Front Lines. During this interactive session, experienced practitioners will share their hands-on experience in financing social enterprises. So you will have the chance to learn about the real challenges and inspirational solutions. Let's say some words about SIFTA because this is a webinar under the SIFTA program. So I believe that after this conference, you will know about SIFTA more. This is a program which is a continuation and enhancement of the EU program for employment and social innovation, EASY, and particularly EasyTA. It is managed by the European Investment Bank and financed by the EU. It provides targeted capacity building, project advisory, and market development support to financial intermediaries active in the microfinance and social entrepreneurship spaces. So the geographical eligibility, it is EU 27, and beneficiaries could be microfinance providers such as banks, non-bank microfinance institutions, social enterprise finance providers such as investment funds, social funds, impact investors, incubators, accelerators that offer or are in the process of widening their scope with a view to providing accompanying financial support to social enterprises. Applicants of microfinance and social enterprise finance providers can apply for specific SIFTA services by sending EIB an email given in a chat of this session. A request for service template will be sent to the beneficiaries to formally apply to the specific services. So this is in a nutshell about how to apply for SIFTA. We will share the mail of SIFTA if you would like to apply, maybe just today. So let's start. My name is Martina Grigorova. I'm Executive Director of SIS Credit Bulgaria, which is one of the leading private microfinance institutions in Bulgaria. And I'm also an MFC Council member, and we will moderate this session for you today. With me are Pete Collins from Boom, Belgium, and Marion Guillaume from COP57, Spain. What to expect from this session? We have prepared two presentations with good practices from Belgium and Spain. We expect really this to be an interactive discussion, if possible. And please put your questions and comments in the chat and I will address them. Also, after the presentations, we will have some time for questions and sharing your experience maybe. I will also send you some links with information in the chat, which maybe would be of interest for you. And so let's start with the first question pool for the audience, just to see who is with us. Justina, could you put the question, please? Okay, so why are you interested in the topic of financing for social enterprises? Not so tough question, be honest. I represent or work for a social enterprise. My organization is currently supporting social enterprises. My organization is considering to start supporting social enterprises. Or you are not familiar with the topic and you are just curious to understand more about it. And of course, you could also be not sure why you're here and hope to chat with some nice people. Why not? So please put your answers here to know better the audience. Okay, great. So we have organizations that are currently supporting social enterprises. So please share your experience at the end or in the chat. I'm really glad that we have also organizations that are considering starting supporting social enterprises. And we will do our best to make people know more about financing of social enterprises for the ones who have never heard about this. Okay, great. Well, let's start with the first presentation. I will introduce you briefly Pete. So he started his professional career at Flemish Public Radio and Television. In 2008, he made his entry into the financial world and became investment manager at Culture Invest, a venture capital fund for cultural and creative sectors. Today, he leads the finance department of Hebum, an organization that supports the social profit sector. He has experience in developing and managing additional and ethical financing products for organizations and enterprises having difficulties in accessing traditional finance, such as SMEs active in cultural sector, social profit sector, micro entrepreneurs, etc. And he truly believes that ethical finance is key to sustainable financial inclusion as a tool for social and durable economic welfare. Good, this is really great. And Pete, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Martina. Thank you for the invitation to the MFC. Let me introduce you Hefboom. So we are a Belgian organization. We are based in Flanders, so that's the northern part of Belgium, and also the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. The southern part is French-speaking. So we are from Flanders. We are founded in 1985 as a financial cooperative. We have about 2,200 shareholders, which of them 70% are individuals, the other 30% are organizations, institutions, etc. So our main goal is to strive for a better and more sustainable society by supporting social entrepreneurship. We do that through three main pillars. The first one, and the one we will talk about today, is debt financing credits. We also have a management consulting division, and we also service social impact organizations on different levels. So these are the three main pillars of Hefboom. Our financial activities. So as I said earlier, we are ethical funding, and we fund social and sustainable projects and organizations. We have about 31.5 million impact funding in total. This is divided in three pillars. The biggest one and the main pillar is 24 million euro funding to social and sustainable organizations and companies. I will go further on that later on in the presentation. Two other funding mechanisms we have are the microcredits. These are small credits up to 25,000 euro, especially for entrepreneurs who have no access to bank loans. Then the third pillar, about 6.1 million euro of the total, is the cultural loans. These are loans up to 125,000 euro, especially for artists and cultural organizations, also without access to bank loans. But the main product, and which we will talk about today, are those social and sustainable organizations and companies, so the credits for those organizations. Yep. All right. Which sectors? So our focus group are social economy. Social economy is divided into supporting customized and inclusive employment. Let me rephrase that in people with a certain distance to the regular labor market. Then we see that often in recycling shops in Belgium, and we also support organizations who educate and train those people with this certain distance to the regular labor market. Then we also invest in social and inclusive housing, healthcare, poverty reduction, integration, minorities and equal opportunities, ecology and sustainable innovation, and also in the social cultural sector, we fund projects. Here we have a small example of an organization we funded, CAMP, Nature Conservation by Sheep. So CAMP is an inclusive, circular and ecological organization. And they believe that biodiversity is enhanced by the grazing, employment opportunities are created for people with a distance to the regular labor markets, educational workshops are held, etc. And the wool is used to make pillows and sheets, all done in sheltered workplace for those people with the distance to the regular labor market. So this is one example of an organization we fund. For who, like I already mentioned in another slide, we target organizations who invest in a more inclusive, sustainable, and social society, but also comply to the European definition of a social enterprise. What I mean by that is that it's not enough for us that you work on a societal, social, inclusive challenge, for example. So you give an answer to that challenge. That's not sufficient for us. You also have to be a social enterprise. And one example of this definition of a social enterprise is that the profits you're generating are mainly reinvested in the company as to achieve its objective. So those profits are not going mainly to the investors or the shareholders, but are reinvested in the social project. We invest mostly in mature organizations and scale-ups, less in startups. The region, like I mentioned earlier, is Flanders, so the northern part of Belgium and Brussels. We invest through investment loans, bridge loans, and working capital loans. These are the three products we have. Some key characteristics of our funding or our loans. The amount starts at 25,000 euro up to 800,000 euro. We can go higher, but then we need an approval of our board of directors, so the process will be a bit longer. Maturity is up to 20 years. The price is today quite competitive, taking into account the current market conditions. I'm saying that because we have a period of about 5 to 10 years where the market rates were very low. So for us as a cooperative, not working with money of the European Central Bank, but from our shareholders, it was quite difficult to compete with the commercial banks the last 5 to 10 years, but this is really changing. So those market conditions are changing, so we become more competitive. These lendings or those loans also need some kind of security. We use common mortgages, pledges of subsidies, receivables, etc. Often we have also the possibility, or the client offers us the possibility to secure the loan with a third-party guarantee. And if we can, or the client has no possibilities to offer any security, we also have access to the European Union EASY program, so an easy guarantee we can offer to the client. And we also have in Flanders, so in Belgium, we have a specific security arrangement from the Flemish government, so we can also use that. Besides that, we also have access to another fund. It's a fund for social employment, social investment fund in Flanders. And when we grant a credit to an organization within the social economy, the social employment, to be precise, we have access to that co-funding fund, which means that they fund 2/3 of the total loan amount. So that will come later also on the slide, so we will discuss it. Here we have some kind of political influence, and we use the possibilities offered by the government to increase the investment in social economy. Another example is the Overmolen. And the Overmolen creates several initiatives and opportunities in Brussels for disadvantaged groups in terms of shelter, housing, mentorship, education, etc. So it's also one of the examples of organizations we fund. Maybe this will come later also in the debate. It's one of the subjects, which are the biggest challenges for social impact funding. It all starts, and that's maybe interesting, especially for those organizations who want to start to fund in social impact funding, who are starting in this sector. It's very important to define your target group. As I mentioned earlier, for us, it doesn't stop at giving an answer to social challenges, but you also have to be a social enterprise. For us, this is really important. Otherwise, we would have a lot of more clients if it was only generating social impact. So you also need to be a social enterprise. For us, this was really important. Another challenge is today the green and social washing of commercial banks. A lot of commercial banks are using the term green and social and sustainable more like marketing instruments than really being a social investor. So these are some challenges, especially for our market, so Belgium, Flanders. So this is a challenge. Also, I already mentioned it, you have the market evolution on the interest rates. So it means that also for us, this will have an impact on the funding cost. Shareholders' expectations also related to the market evolution. In periods where the interest rates are quite low, it's easier to attract shareholders. But this is changing, and the shareholders also expect more financial return on investment. So this is a challenge of today. Policy changes, like I mentioned also earlier, we have access to some government instruments. So if the policy changes, what is really a risk for us next year, it can have an impact on the investments we do and access to those instruments. Evome is a quite small organization, so scale is also a challenge for us. More on the level of the organizations we fund, you also have this tension between the idealism of the organization and a sustainable business plan. Of course, you need that sustainable business plan to survive. Today, due to COVID, inflation, energy crisis, the profitability and the margins of the organization have to suffer because of those COVID, inflation, and energy crisis. So it really affects the free cash flow they generate. It becomes less, so it would be more difficult to repay a loan. It takes up more time to become break even. So we have a lot of questions for longer maturity on loans to be able to refund a loan. This is also a challenge. And all this while we are trying to keep the funding cost for our clients as low as possible, because of course we believe that we have to focus on the social impact. Then a last slide, question that was also posed to me is, what are the differences between, or the biggest differences between microcredit lending and social impact funding? In my experience, for us, the social impact funding is a more sustainable business model for Hefboom. So in the microcredits, we have much more risk. In the social impact, the risk is less, there is lower. Because there is a strong motivation, drive from those organizations to survive due to the social goal, and you don't have this, or you have it less in microcredit lending, this strong motivation to survive. Another big difference is in the social impact, we have higher credit amounts versus the smaller amounts in micro lending, which means that you also have a higher nominal income or return. You have to keep that in mind. And in combination with the risk on microcredits is much higher. This is, of course, a more sustainable business model. We also see that on the level of the clients, we have more financial literacy. If you do microcredits, the entrepreneurs are less financially or have less financial luggage or experience. So this is also a difference, a positive difference, of course. And within the social impact funding, we do have access to some public instruments, as mentioned earlier, but you're less dependent of those public support. I am saying this for already a few years. Micro lending or microcredits, it's especially not in Belgium, it's not possible without philanthropic aid or support, public support, subsidies, etc. So that's also a big difference for us compared to social impact funding. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Pete. Thank you for being so structured and so practical in your presentation. It's really interesting that you mentioned that social impact funding actually is not microcredit. Mm-hmm. And maybe if we would like to enter into this social impact area, we need to think bigger and not rely only on microcredit, and combination maybe here is key.
Yeah, yes. Of course. It's also our business model. We started in social impact funding. In 2012, we also added microcredit lending. In 2018, we added the loans for artists and cultural organization, all within this social impact idea. To be clear, it's not the same as the offerings or the services commercial banks are granting. So it's a good idea not to focus on only one product and to diversify with several products and services. It's also important for the sustainability of the business model of Hefboom itself. So that's indeed the idea behind this.
Yes, yes. I'm also interested in your opinion on, for example, quasi-equity or something like this, mm-hmm. More interesting, but maybe to leave the questions for, let's say, in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Just think about this, because it's really interesting, and I think that it will be interesting for the audience as well.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You mentioned about the challenges. Thank you for starting this very big topic. Justina, could you please share our second question poll, just to a little bit brainstorm about what is the major challenge? Please pick only one. I know it's not so easy, but please pick the major challenge in supporting social enterprises from your perspective. Like in my country, there is no proper legal framework. It's difficult to address them. It's hard to assess their capacity repayment. They could not provide collateral or personal guarantees. They need a lot of support in terms of non-financial services that maybe you could not provide. Or supporting social enterprises could not be a sustainable business model. Maybe yes. Or I'm also curious about the other answer. So if you have another big burden that you think for social enterprise support, please just pick other and put your thoughts in the chat. Okay. Anybody else to answer our poll? Okay. So I could see that legal framework actually is a big burden, which I agree actually, because in Bulgaria is the same. It's surprising for me that for the people it's not so hard to assess repayment capacity. which show actually a potential for this for MFIs. Okay, and this could not be a sustainable business model. Thank you very much. Okay, we will continue on this topic after the second presentation because time is not so much. Marion, could you please start with your presentation? I will say just a few words about you. So Marion has been working for COP57 for 10 years already. COP57 is an ethical and solidarity-based financial services cooperative. The team behind COP57 is convinced that it must be articulated an ethical financial system that can offer the greatest number of possible answers to the different financial needs of citizens and the social and solidarity economy. Marion stepped into the cooperative movement after working 10 years in different NGOs. Marion, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Martina. Thanks for the invitation. My name is Marion. I'm from COP57 in Spain. We are like a brother organization of HEVBOOM in Flanders. There is a lot of similarity, and I will try to explain in a few words what we are doing. I'm sorry. Can I pass? So we are an ethical and solidarity-based financial service cooperative, which its main objective is to contribute to the positive social transformation of our economy and of our society. We have a critical view of the current and economic model. We want to contribute to the construction of an alternative economy that would be fairer, more caring, and sustainable. So our main function is to finance projects of the social and the solidarity economy through financial intermediation. This means that we collect and receive the savings of the civil society in order to channel them towards financing entities of the social and solidarity economy. For us, this is important. We don't do, maybe one difference with HEVBOOM is that we don't do microfinance. We only finance entities of the social and solidarity economy. This is mainly association, foundation, cooperative, and other collective organization based on non-profit view. So we are a democratic and assembly-based organization formed by individual and entities of the social and solidarity economy. The entity, all the relation with COP57 is through membership. We have no client or nothing else. We only have members, and the entity is the property of its members and self-manage and organize in managing the cooperative. We focus in financial intermediation. Saving in COP57 is open to all those individuals or some entities, but mainly individual at the time that believe in our principle and want to link their saving to project of the social and solidarity economy. I will detail it a little after, but you bring your saving to the big fund of COP57. You don't choose which project you want to help financing, but we internally use the savings of other people to finance the project that have passed the viability test. So financing, as I said, financing from COP57 can be received only by those entities belonging to the social and solidarity economy member. So we have two kind of members: the service members. The service members are those entities of the social and solidarity economy. They can when they are a member, they can apply for a loan, and they can use all the financial services we offer that I will explain after. And if at one time they don't have a credit necessity, and if they have a saving possibility, of course, they can do it. The contributing members, they are those they are both individuals and entities. They can save in COP57, making contribution to the social capital of the cooperative, but they cannot receive a loan. So in this, you can see for the saving, as I said, the contributing members, when you save money in COP57, you become a contributing member. You can participate. There is 2 General Assembly at year, and annually you have a financial remuneration that is accorded in once a year in General Assembly. On the other hand, you have the service member that they passed a social value assessment. There is a social committee that evaluates what do they do and how do they do it, what the purpose and the organization of the entities, to see if it corresponds to our social values. They also participate and assign the action line, and they can ask at any time a loan. We are different kind of loans: investment loans, credit lines, advance payments on grants and invoices, housing long-term loans, loans on premises, and energy transition loans. After COVID, what we see is that there is a big necessity of credit lines of very short-term necessity, and a decrease in the investment loans as the future is kind of is kind of gray. No, we don't have the entities. There is not a tendency to invest at a long term lately. So we are our organizational form is based on the principle of participation and territorial roots. We are a single entity, but we are organized into territorial section, and each territorial section at its own bodies and participation structure. And we are in the, as you can see, this in Spain. And that's it. We will wait for the question.
Thank you, Marion. Thank you very much. And what do you think about the challenges from your perspective?
Yeah, okay. I think the challenges evolves, no? With the society. Maybe for example, 10 years ago, no, with the Iraq war, there was much more saving than financial needs. We had like because the social society with the world take conscious of the role of the banking system in financing the war, and were willing to contribute to a more with their saving to a more sustainable and society. Right now, 10 years and more after, the social economy system has grown, and we have, especially in Catalonia, we have much more cooperative, housing cooperative, or working cooperative, and there is kind of it's the opposite. We have much more financial needs that we have saving possibility. So as we are, so it's the big challenge right now is to enhance our capacity of saving members, of collecting money, so we can finance more projects.
Yes, and Spain is quite developed in this direction about social economy actors. And now there was a big conference in San Sebastian. So Spain is really among the leaders in financing social economy. Yes, and we have a question from the audience, from Janina. She asked, actually, maybe Pete, to you, and maybe you could share and develop it towards what could be the financial instruments that could support social enterprises apart from credits, because she's asking how is the non-monetary impact of social entrepreneurial and social innovations could be actually reflected in a financial instrument that could be optimal. So please share, what do you think about this?
Well, I think first we have to understand that there are two different receivers of return. The first one is, let me say, the societal impact, where the receiver is the society or the government. Then you have the interest income, where the receiver is the credit provider, in our case, Hefboom. So those are two receivers. The one social impact, and the other one is the return, financial return. So it's different to mix those two together. I think there are possibilities. In our case, in the case of Hefboom, we don't focus on, let me say, the instrument or the lending characteristics. If we're talking about the non-monetary impact, but we focus on, in our case, we realize this through the access to funding. So we make it, we make the access to funding more easy, a lower threshold. How do we do it? Like I presented in my presentation, in our case, there are two possibilities. The first one is that we have access to the easy guarantee, which means that you can lower the threshold for organizations to get funding, which makes that you can realize the monetary impact. The second one in our case is that we have access to the social investment fund owned by the government. They share the risk with us, which also makes it possible for organizations who in normal conditions or without this access to this instrument will not get funding. We can take more risk because we share the risk. So this makes it possible to create this social impact. Other ideas, which are not the case in Belgium, could be that you have government instruments. For example, if you achieve a certain impact, and if you can prove that, for example, they increase the tax reduction on interest. That could be a possibility. But of course, this will need some organization, and it should be, then you have to prove your impacts, etc. These are also possibilities that come to my mind. But this is how I reflect on this question. I don't know, maybe that Marion can add some ideas.
Sorry, I was looking at the last chat.
Okay.
No.
You could pick the last comment, yes, Marion, if you would like.
Yeah, and sorry, Peter, because no, I was because the question is, what would you recommend as a key market development initiative by governments in less developed countries? That's right. For example, we are both of us. We are to a not governmental organization. We are we exist thanks to our members. But I think it's true where there is subsidies or helping from the institution for creating and accompany the social organization, it makes the difference. Because, for example, the government in Catalonia has put some budget on the creation and accompanying of the cooperative. So that makes develop much more
Yes, so the government support is really key here, right? So without the government support, what could we do? We are like, yes, Pete, thank you.
Maybe I can add some other things. I think from a government point of view, because if I understand it right, is a question which initiatives can be developed by governments. Adding on what already Marion told, I think there are some possibilities. The first one we also know in Belgium, for example, is that social impact funding organizations can address to the government to receive subsidies, for example. So you can agree, or you can convince governments to foresee a budget on subsidies for the organizations, which means that their working cost will be lower, so they can grant credits at a lower interest rate. Another possibility could be, like we also know in Belgium, is that the government develops a co-investment fund where they put a lot of money into, which can be used by social impact funding organizations or financiers to use that money to also invest in social economy. What will be, like I mentioned earlier, would be a good idea to lower the threshold towards funding for those organizations. You can also work in Belgium. You also have specific tax deductions because you are a financial cooperative with a social goal, etc. This can also help. So you have different levels on which you can, from a government point of view, facilitate the investment in social economy.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And actually, when we are speaking about the government, they're always asking, okay, how are you measuring your impact? If you are so big and so good and so on, how are you measuring? I wanted really to have more time, and I have prepared some topics about social impact measurement and shared with the audience some good, let's say, tools, I think. The one is social impact measurement of OECD, one publication. The other one is the impact report of Banca Etica. This is something because we went to a peer-to-peer visit, and they are trying really to do their best in impact measurement. But really, the government should support such initiatives, because this is the gap where what you are talking about, Pete, right? That social enterprises are saying, yes, we are doing even more. This is what Janina said, that they're doing more to be financially sustainable and to be to create impact. So they are putting a lot of efforts, and they need to receive the best support possible. And the financial intermediaries are saying, yes, but you are too risky. So and you're expecting low interest rate and so on. So you're not interesting for us. And really, I think that you are both right that the government should should do something to deal with this gap. Because especially in Eastern Europe, we have a big problem for the support of social economy, because you are really advanced, but in Eastern Europe, it's really challenging. Yes, really interesting discussion for me at least. So the good thing is that at least you could use European guarantees, right? Easy guarantee, you are using both. So
yeah, maybe to another because the easy guarantee, I think, for all the FEBEA, which is which are the organization working, has been a big point, because the risk management is a key it's key in the viability of our own structure, no, and the possibility to have the easy guarantee makes us the possibility to cover more financial needs of more social enterprises.
yes,
And there can be
true.
also some local government guarantee funds, because at some point the easy guarantee cannot cover everything. So another good thing on the guarantee fund as easy.
Yes, a lot of possibilities. I really hope that we will have more time, like let's say, to meet somewhere to really go into the really bottom of this topic and see how we could deal with these challenges, and make maybe the governments think about such financial instruments, which, by the way, I shared also one link. We have in Bulgaria something that is also for social enterprises, an interesting instrument under ESF Plus. So you could have the chance to explore this option. Thank you very much. It was really interesting. Hope to see you in person. And please, for the participants, evaluate the session. And yes, thank you for attending this session. There are 2 sessions that are coming right after. So the one is the result, FI Compass AMIF study results, really interesting. And the other one is how fintechs are helping farmers to thrive, another interesting topic. So thank you for your participation, and have a wonderful day.